Attention! In the video, scenes of smoking, use of slang words in different languages and possibly alcohol consumption can be seen. You can be so offended. All actions performed are performed by complete amateurs and are not to be considered as a tutorial. If it offends you, feel free to leave from here. For everyone else, try to enjoy it. Thank you.
This is Zafira B, make year 2007, the engine z19dth, 110 kilowatts. So my problem is swirl flaps. They are here. Let's try to show you. Yeah, this ramp is on the way, but yeah, there is it. So they are seriously worn out, and yeah, they're sucking air. Let me show you. So if I, for example, closing this air intake, starts sucking air, and this worn out, it actually must be shut down, but it didn't. So that's the problem. And so if it's sucking air here, and when you accelerate, all the turbo boost air comes out here. It not get into the cylinders. So yeah, that's the common problem on these cars. And previously the popular solution was delete that swirl flaps, throw them out, close that holes with the plugs. And because if you want to repair something, GM sells these swirl flaps only assembled with the all intake manifold, and yeah, it's pretty expensive. So yeah, that was cheap and popular solution. Delete these things, but I believe that the engineers using calculators and computers, and they actually, these swirl flaps actually must working. In other case, there is a, in the intake is one on each cylinder, one hole to the air and one with that swirl flap. And if you need more air, it opens up and there is more air. If you don't need so much air, it closes. And maybe in the cold winter we don't need so much cold air in the cylinders for the start example. So I think it's necessary. In other case, if you delete it, the thing that you must do is reprogramming your computer on the car. But if you must take off anyway this manifold, you must find the mechanic who can do properly these things. I think in the end it costs almost like change simply these swirl flaps. And about the changing of swirl flaps, thanks to our China manufacturers, they now producing the repair kits. You can buy now only the swirl flaps without that all manifold. So it's a bit cheaper, so I think it's worth to restore it to original and don't delete these swirl flaps, because in the other case, yes, it's a wrong air and diesel fuel mixture, and you maybe can't pass the technical inspections because computer knows it. He puts that much of diesel, he must add it that much of air. If some of these components is not proper, computer didn't know about it and he do the wrong mixture. So thought, yeah, of dismounting this. There is many videos in the YouTube, like tutorials, and there is a lot of work. You must remove the air filter, all these things, and yeah, one more thing. Think about this. I got some oil on the intake before turbo. If it's normal, if there is oil behind the turbo, there is no seals, there is only bushing, and some kind of a bit oil can travel through this intake in the intake manifold. It's normal, but in my case I see that I don't like how much this oil is in the intake, and I think that the problem is in the breather. There is that pipe is coming out, and exactly before the turbo, it goes in the turbo, and then air through the intercooler goes into engine. So that's the only way where the oil can go here before that turbo. And with these breathers too is problems. They clogged, and I want to believe that it's clogged and oil not goes in back into the engine, but travels here somewhere. And yeah, these breathers is very problematic. You can't disassemble them. They only are changeable in all part, and again they are expensive. But when I dismount this all, I try to figure out what can I do with this. So yeah, because we can see here, so there is a lot of oil. It's coming out from these swirl flaps. So I believe that oil travels from the breather, from the turbo, and because there is a worn out of these swirl flaps, it's try to coming out here, and some of this oil of course goes into the engine. I don't have a big oil consumption. I change oil on the 10,000 kilometers, so before that oil change, mostly I add about 100 grams oil or something. So if, of course, there can be problem with the piston rings, too much gases who's throwing out the oil, but then I believe that I probably can't start this car engine on the minus temperature, but in the minus temperature it starts normally without any serious problems. So I bet my money on that breather, which is clogged and pushing the oil in the intake more as it must be in the intake. And yeah, there is a problem with these swirl flaps. So I try to make a video about the changing. Maybe I don't film all the process because there is a many, as I tell you, there is a many tutorials of this, how it must be done. Maybe if on only the problematic places I try to show. Yeah, I'm ready for this. I got this repair kit. Also I got the plugs. They are cheap, so I bought one pair too. So if there is in the end, if I cannot install some of them, these swirl flaps, for example, if there is a big worn out, so they actually didn't work and didn't stay on the place, then I plug in some swirl flaps with the plugs. Also I have a gasket for the intake manifold. The only thing I don't have yet is a wrench, because this pulley must be tightened with 50 to 55 Newton meters. So I must find or buy this wrench to adjust it correctly. Yeah, the engine is old. This car has a 360,000 on speedometer, but I believe there is more, because resellers usually manipulate with these mileages, and usually there are a lot of more. I believe there is about 500 for sure, and for 500 this engine looks not bad.
The first thing I started with was dismantling the air filter. Then dismantling the timing belt guards. In my opinion, the most difficult stage is fixing the timing belt and releasing the timing belt pulley. If that didn't work, there would be no point in dismantling the EGR valve, throttle and other things, which seemed to me to be a relatively easier stage. The fuel pump pulley nut came off quite easily. Next, you can dismantle the battery, EGR valve, throttle, and other things that will interfere with dismantling the intake manifold.
training.
While trying to disconnect the electrical part of the fuel pump, I realized that I wasn't the first here either. The fuel pump nuts were also different. Two had plastic retainers, which GM definitely doesn't install in its cars. Also, these nuts are difficult to access. There is not enough space for a standard 1/2 inch socket. The situation is saved by the small 3/8 inch socket. And then the second most stressful moment began. The fuel pump pulley won't come off the fuel pump shaft. Lighter and stronger blows with a hammer don't give any results. This is the moment when you realize that you can't learn everything from YouTube tutorials. This is what a fixed timing belt looks like. The throttle and the recently installed EGR valve are already quite dirty. After using a homemade tool, the fuel pump pulley has been removed from the shaft. The crankcase ventilation housing has also been dismantled. And everything is clean here. Nothing is clogged. So my theory about oil getting into the air intake has turned out to be wrong. The tool for removing the fuel pump from the shaft is also available in the store. But you can also make it yourself. There are 2 holes in the timing belt pulley with an M8 thread. All you have to do is find the appropriate screws and a sufficiently hard steel plate. Drill the holes and then periodically tighten both screws. Literally 2 to 3 millimeters was enough. swirl flaps very loose. No wonder half the air is passing through. The intake channels in the cylinder head also look terrible. It will be difficult to clean anything there.
Jsi využitá, je?
No pyta.
No, využitá. Vidíte.
We used almost all the technical fluids we had at our disposal. Heavy-duty engine cleaner, brake cleaner and diesel fuel. I decided not to split the intake manifold in half. When putting it back together it would be necessary to use a liquid gasket, which in my opinion would significantly prolong the assembly process.
they are out. Let's try to clean something that conk. And also you see there is a very bad. I take off that separator greaser, and yeah, maybe unfortunately, but he's clean. The oil goes through. So why the oil goes in the cylinders? Maybe it's a worn out turbo, or I don't know. Okay, whatever. Let's deal with this swirl flaps at first.
A ko tam atbolīsi?
So this is the end, we can say, of yesterday's entire day's work and a little bit of today, because I mess up a little bit and don't plug the electricity to the motor which moves these swirl flaps. So yeah, they're actually, if you wash them, they look not so bad at the end, but they have a big free place here and there. And this one is actually in good condition, not good, it's some kind of condition, and this one is totally worn out. The rings didn't hold anything at all. Yeah, they are full with a conch, and all the inlet manifold was, I can say, one not half but close to that, full with conch. And so if the air intake was closed, almost closed on a half, it goes less air to the intake, especially if the half of them goes out. So the engine, on my subjective feelings, maybe it's placebo, but I feel that the engine now is a little bit powerful. So I hope some horsepowers from that 150 from the factory. Now I hope some of these horses is back. Of course, I don't think that they are 150, because this car is almost 20 years old, so it's definitely not so powerful. But I repeat my subjective feelings that everything works better now. So yeah, and of course I got antifreeze leaking somewhere, and today I found where it's that antifreeze leak. It's from the pipes which goes to the heater. They are actually, it looks like they are nailed earlier, and now they started to leak. So I fixed that part too. Yeah, and that's the end. Now I got powerful car. I can drive and yelling like Jeremy Clarkson, power, until my clutch and flywheel explodes, because they do the knocking sounds. And yeah, I think that's not long to wait until the clutch goes down, if I now have a power to drive. Yeah, so this the new set of these swirl flaps cost in AliExpress about 26 euros. The all inlet manifold costs about 200. There is a lot of work to change these swirl flaps, and probably I think that actually it's reasonable to change all the manifold with these swirl flaps. Just plug and play and go, because wash out this conch from the inlet manifold, yeah, that's actually, I don't do this again one more time. It's messy, it's all dirty. Everywhere where you touch, everywhere is the oil, and that from the exhaust crap. So yeah, it's not cheap, but also if we think that it's not for one day, you just put on the new clear manifold with these swirl flaps, which is working properly, and it's for the next 5-10 years or maybe more. In my case, if this car is 20 years old, I think that's his life is 5 years mostly. No, I don't think that car can survive next 10 or 50 years. It's not that car. So that's it. We can end this video with some kind of success. PS, I didn't solve that oil leak into the inlet before turbo. Well, yeah, the breather was clear and all the fluids goes through, so yeah, that's the problem what I not solved, and I don't know what to do because I don't have any reasonable explanation for that, because if I got a serious worn out of the piston rings, then it must be a serious oil consumption, and probably the hard start and zero temperatures, but I don't have it. It starts normal, the oil consumption is normal, so I don't get it what the problem is actually, why that oil is splitting to the inlet. Okay, we will solve it later when it goes seriously bad.